Hello everybody, welcome back to Marking Ariana Free. Today it is Sunday and it is a new video. Now, before we get started, I just want to address the topic of today's video. I think on Wednesday I said that I was going to be doing a dance battle themed video today, and I replied to a few comments on both Twitch and my YouTube comments and the community section that I was doing a dance battle theme video today. If I tell you the truth, I was bored by the video that I made. I was bored editing it. It was only 9 minutes long total. Yeah, I wasn't proud of it, so I haven't put it up. I'm only going to put up a video if I think that you guys would enjoy it, and if I'm not enjoying editing it, then, you know, it's a no. And it's currently Friday, so I've got today and tomorrow to edit this. That's all.
Hello, this is Editing Alicia. It's currently 2 AM Sunday morning. This video goes up in 6 hours and I'm still editing.
So if I do it, well, obviously I have done it because you're watching it. Well done me. Today's video is another what if. So last time I did one of these, it was what if Hunter and Emily didn't break up and Noah and Rochelle got together. Today it's more storyline based. We're going to be doing if Emily and Stephanie left the next step and went to Elite, and if Miss Angela took over the studio successfully in season 6. So we're going to start with the Emily and Stephanie storyline. So if they left the next step and joined Elite, which they did in season 1, but they ultimately came back, my theory is that they'd go to Elite and stay there for the entirety of the rest of season 1. So the first thing that TNS would have to do is replace them on the team, because it left only 8 dancers, and this would naturally obviously be a problem, but I feel like they would go straight to B Troop and pick them out of that, just like they did on the show, how Michelle led the auditions, and, you know, Beth said she only wanted to get on to spend more time with James.
I really miss James and kind of want to see him, so I'd love to make A Troop. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. So they did the auditions, but then before they got to choose who would actually make the team, Stephanie came back. And then Giselle was brought up to take Emily's place, which means we need someone to replace Stephanie still, because in my storyline she wouldn't return, and I think that is going to be Sarah. They would then need another dancer to replace Daniel when he later gets injured, so I feel like that would be Beth, because they'd have no choice. I mean, they could ask Ben, but that's not really good for storytelling purposes, so I say they'd pick Beth then to come up, and then you've got an A Troop with Beth on it and Jiley, so that would cause drama. If Beth had made it onto the team, I feel like Jiley might not have become an official couple in season 1 episode 20, because she'd obviously be getting in the way, and she does love James and she'd be all over it, and Riley would get very paranoid, and she probably wouldn't be thinking of, hey, I really like James, I'm gonna get with him. She'd be distracted by Beth. But ultimately I think they would get together at some point. It just might take a little bit longer, and then if Beth is on the team, the events at regionals where she tells James,
I still love you,
in the wings and stuff, I think that could still happen even if Beth was actually on A Troop, and that would obviously start some things for season 2. Obviously with Emily gone, that means that Michelle and Emily can't be co-captains, so I think it would still be Michelle as the dance captain. There would be a lot more situations where she struggles to handle the pressure, she can't control the group, she struggles to get everyone's moods up, like they did after they lost the dance battle against Seeds and they were deciding what to do with the dance battle. I feel like Michelle would have really struggled in those kind of situations, and I had an idea for the plot if Kate and Chris noticed this. So they put on a activity similar to the escape room in season 6 for their A Troopers, which really brings them together, and it kind of encourages Michelle to be more of a leader, and it really helps her out with her leadership skills and makes her feel a lot more comfortable and confident on the team and in her role. This would also make more sense for season 6 for it to happen, because obviously Emily and Michelle noticed the team's not working so well together, so they'd get inspiration from their past and how Kate and Chris did that to them to do it to their dancers, so I think that would have had a nice link. I think Michelle and Eldon would have still happened this season, but it would have been a lot more smooth sailing, because obviously Emily's not there to be a distraction to Eldon. He would have broken up with her and they would have carried on. And in terms of Emily and Stephanie being at Elite, I feel like they would have been pretty good friends with Amanda, and they would have gotten pretty close together, but Amanda would have still been like a double agent, so kind of pretending to be their friend.
Good, Emily.
Amanda complimenting me is a good feeling. She doesn't want me to fail. She wants me to be part of the team, and because of that, I'm starting to be part of the team.
Come on, everyone, be like Emily.
it would look like the E-Girls, how Amanda would probably be the leader of the group and Emily and Stephanie behind her. And I don't think Emily would like this very much because obviously she's used to being the leader and at the forefront of the group, not being the sheep and just following behind the shepherd. So I could see Emily being quite vulnerable in these situations and not being comfortable.
How's Elite going?
It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah. Kind of. It's hard to find friends. Harder than I thought it would be anyway.
When Amanda faces off against the next step and like says that their outfits look like curtains and, you know, stuff like that, I could imagine Emily kind of not saying anything because she doesn't feel comfortable, but she's not going to stand up to Amanda. I think at regional she'd say that she really does miss her team, and when Riley messes up she goes to console her and the team realises that they want Emily back as well. Stephanie on the other hand would pretty much stay with Elite and Amanda because she doesn't want to go back to the next step, and she doesn't have close friends there anymore, so it would only be Emily that's kind of hinted as might come back. I think Emily would also see Michelleton at regionals obviously being a couple, and then she'd start to get her feelings for Eldon back as well, so that could carry on into season 2 where all that drama happens. So then in season 2 when Amanda comes in and says all about the challenge, I think Emily would come in with her. Amanda would still be undercover but Emily would not. Lucien would have planned it this way so that it was a lot more convincing because obviously Emily does really want to be on the next step, and if Amanda follows suit they're going to believe Amanda as well. The Nationals team would be the same because instead of Michelle and Emily being the guaranteed spots, it would just be Michelle. So Emily and Amanda get chosen for the team after they do their auditions, and Sarah and Beth will be put back on B Troop, with Sarah losing her spot to Emily and Beth losing her spot to Daniel now that he's recovered. This would keep the plot the same when Kate gives Beth the consolation duet with Charlie.
She was so upset when she didn't make it, so to cheer her up, I decided to give her a duet at a small dance competition.
Tiffany would also still be kicked off the team, which would hurt her even more because obviously she doesn't have Stephanie by her side. She wouldn't do any of B Troop's classes because she wouldn't want to be a recreational dancer, and she'd keep trying to get in with A Troop, and when they're not using Studio A, she'd be rehearsing in there and doing her own routines, and Kate can eventually have a talk with her and be like, Tiffany, we're not putting you on the team, you need to stop coming into A Troop's studio and rehearsing in here. So Tiffany will be like, fine, whatever, and she will leave. The plot from them would continue as it did for season 2, and in terms of Emily being a double agent and trying to trick Amanda into thinking that she's with her, it would be more convincing because they were both Elite together, and Emily can even say that Lucien told her to be a double agent, so Amanda didn't know that she was on her side, but TNS thought that she was, you know, different stuff like that. I think that would be really complicated but also kind of clever. Then at Nationals, I think it would be cool to see Stephanie competing with Elite, but she'd be on the back row and not featured in anything, and she also wouldn't have any friends, so TNS feels sorry for her pretty much. She could maybe even be an alternate, and I had this idea because we only hear about alternates from season 3, so this would tie in nicely to the whole alternate situation in season 3 if we know that Stephanie was one and she didn't have a good time being one. When Amanda learns that Tess and Lucien have sabotaged Michelle in order to help Amanda win, and she doesn't like it because she wants to win fair and square, I had the idea that when Amanda asks whether or not they believe in her, Lucien could really get mad at her and say, well, no, we don't believe in you, and Stephanie, if Amanda refuses to perform, you'll be our first to dance instead of her. And this could give Stephanie some hope because all through this season on Elite she hasn't been getting any attention, she's on the back lines and she's the alternate, so this could be the reason she wants to stay. Obviously because Emily is on A Troop for this season after redeeming herself and coming back from Elite, it would be even more heartbreaking when she has her knee injury because she just got onto the team and got settled again, and now she's going to have to not be able to dance again. So I feel like that would really hit us a lot harder. When Amanda volunteers to help the next step because Emily won't be able to dance in the finals, the reason that Stephanie wouldn't do this is because of what I said earlier with her wanting to get Amanda's role, because obviously Lucien said to Amanda if she leaves Elite, Stephanie will go into her place. So Stephanie wants that part, and Amanda is done with Elite just like she was in the actual storyline. But then when the next step win Nationals, Stephanie would see how Amanda's been accepted by the next step, and that could have been her, and that will really make her feel sad and encourage her to want to try out for the team in season 3. Then in season 3 the plot would stay the same, except when Daniel comes to audition for the, the battles to get onto the internationals team, Stephanie would come with him. While people would be annoyed at Daniel because he's just not a nice person, Stephanie would very much be held back and she wouldn't say anything. And when he's intimidating Eldon, she also wouldn't say anything, and people feel sorry for Stephanie. She would be a much sadder and hollower version of herself. She wouldn't be, you know, sassy or anything. She'd be very quiet and reserved and not have any confidence in herself. I think when she does her battle against whoever she competes against, she would lose though, and that's why she would eventually join B Troop in the same way that Skylar does and Abby. So those people would all join together on B Troop, and then Stephanie's plot can continue from there, how she wants to get onto A Troop.
Stephanie's the right choice.
Congratulations, Stephanie!
I'm ecstatic. I'm floored. I was so scared of disappointment that I wasn't even gonna audition.
The plot from this point would stay exactly the same. Everything could happen as normal, and yeah, that's it for Emily and Stephanie joining Elite and staying there. So now let's move on to what if Miss Angela became a partner of the Next Step successfully instead of Miss Kate telling her to buy and getting a cake in her face. So I figured it wouldn't be as stereotypical as Miss Angela having this tacky, gaudy studio and, you know, the Next Step going completely downhill and looking completely different, because it's not very realistic. I feel like it just wouldn't happen and it would seem a bit too cliche for me. So I figured that if she did become a partner, it would be more about her style of teaching and her dancing and how she treats the dancers. When Michelle gets close to Lily and Lily like shows her all the pictures on her phone of what Miss Angela wants to do to the studio, and she says that there's a limit on how much time there is so she could become a partner and stuff, Rochelle would only find out that she's going to be a partner in my storyline. So there'd be none of the pictures and stuff like that. It would literally just be the thought of Miss Angela taking over and Miss Kate being perfectly fine with it. So then in the episode Coup d'etat, the only thing that would happen instead of them making over the studio is Rochelle proposes that they show the routine to Kate. So when Kate comes in with Miss Angela, they're like, hey, do you want to see the routine Miss Angela's made for us? And Miss Angela knows that Kate isn't going to like some of the things in it because they would have already said like, oh, Jackie's legs can go higher than that and Noah can do more turns than that. So they would have already kind of discussed all that, and Angela knows that they don't like it as such. So before they perform it, she says to Kate, oh, I had a few more ideas for the choreography, but this is just like the basic things. I'm gonna like expand it from here. I'm gonna have Noah doing 50 pirouettes. I'm gonna have Jackie doing leaps and kicks. And Kate's like, okay, sure, show me the routine. And she thinks it's all right for a basic thing because none of them smile either. So Miss Angela can maybe go like no smiling. So they don't smile. And also I think Winnie wouldn't do the dance, so she'd say to Winnie, oh, just sit out for now, Winnie, because you're just on B Troop. So Miss Kate would be, you know, none the wiser that she's put Winnie on A Troop instead of Piper. So Miss Kate approves the routine and she's fine with it, and they have the meeting and everything goes fine. But the dancers are obviously in a tricky situation now because they don't know what to do, because they couldn't just rebel against Miss Angela and they needed to figure something out. The next episode in real life is where Emily and Michelle become studio head and they do the line placements and Piper returns. Instead, Piper wouldn't come back because obviously Miss Angela's still in charge, but Miss Angela would do the line placements. I had a feeling that Angela would already have a list prepared of where she wants everyone, but Lily would be the one to say, hey, maybe everyone should audition again so you can see their dancing and then reorganize the line placements, which would surprise everyone because, you know, Lily's now dance captain of Noah and Miss Angela's her mom, so that everyone's a bit like, oh, what's going on here? But Miss Angela agrees to it and they all have to do a 30-second audition to determine the line placement. Because I like continuity when it comes to injuries on the Next Step, I feel like today could be an off day for Rochelle, so she could say to Miss Angela, oh, I'm not going to be able to do a 30-second audition today because my hips are really hurting, and Miss Angela could say, well, I don't have time for that, so you're on the back line, and Rochelle can't do anything about it because she doesn't want to dance on her injury. She's learnt from her mistakes. I also felt like Ozzy, Henry and Jackie would be put on the back line too, because Miss Angela doesn't like Ozzy's dancing. She thinks that Henry, she didn't like his feet, and also she thinks that Jackie doesn't have a good expression. So those three are on the back line with Rochelle. On the middle line, she puts Noah, Kenzie, Finn and Summer, because obviously she brought the three of them in, so she thinks highly of them, so she puts them on the middle line, and she needs another boy to be on that line as well, so she puts Noah there. Which means on the front line, it would be Kingston and Lily. She'd probably have some kind of mad theory, but it would also link nicely to season 7 where they start getting closer to each other. so they could have a few interactions in this season as well. I think she'd also put Winnie on the front line, so maybe it would go Winnie, Kingston, Lily, and it would be purely to annoy people because they know that Piper should be in that spot and on the team, not Winnie. Everyone obviously would hate the line placements, so the girls can still have that scene in the locker room where they're venting all their problems, and Summer can maybe come in and say, you just got to deal with it, this is like what Miss Angela's like, and then they can slam their lockers and be like, we don't want to talk to you, Summer, we don't want to hang out with you. I think they'd also potentially be quite mean to Winnie because she's obviously taken Piper's spot. Even though she hasn't done anything wrong actively, they could have this aggression towards her and be very aggravated by her presence. So I feel like Winnie could have a few scenes where she's a bit like on the sidelines and she doesn't have any friends on A Troop. I think it'd also be a scene where Miss Angela says that Lily will be doing the solo for the convention to win the 5 points. There wouldn't be an audition system like Michelle and Emily do. She'd just literally say that Lily is doing it.
Shocker.
So the episodes that follow this for me, I feel like Lily would go against her mom and she'd try to find something that could happen to get her out the studio because she knows everyone hates it and she knows that this isn't the way to lead a studio to victory. I also feel like she'd be the one to reach out to Piper and be like, just come back, I'll teach you the routine, and if we just put you in it you might find a new confidence and you'll be okay. And because obviously Lily is Miss Angela's daughter, Piper would be like, okay, maybe there's a chance that this could work because obviously it's one less bad guy that she has to go against. I also think that Rochelle would vent to Emily and Michelle in Shakes and Ladders instead of Piper. Maybe Piper could do it as well in the earlier episode, but Rochelle would be venting about how she's now on the back line and she's not being considerate about her injury, and you know, it's just not working, it's not the next step like it used to be. And Michelle and Emily would, you know, empathise with this because they were the ones that let Rochelle dance on an injury, so they know that she shouldn't be dancing, so they'd agree with her decision and be proud of her for doing that, but also they'd want the next step to be the next step because they were the next step. Rochelle then hatches a plan and she asks Emily and Michelle to film their rehearsal with Miss Angela because Kate saw a version of their dance where Miss Angela promised to put more stuff in it, but she hasn't done it because she doesn't want to. So if Emily and Michelle film it and send it to Miss Kate, they'll expose her effectively. So when it comes to the rehearsal, Piper would come in and yeah, everyone would be happy and whatever, but Miss Angela wouldn't notice, so maybe she's in the office. She'd be put into the back row and she'd just literally kind of be a shadow and hide a little bit and not get herself noticed, but she's learnt the choreography because Lily's taught it to her. So when they run the rehearsal, Emily and Michelle can sneak in and be recording it on their phone, so they can see that Piper's now joining in. They're really happy about that, but they can also see Rochelle's in the back, and none of these things that Miss Angela promised to do are in there. They'd then send it to Miss Kate, and at the end of the episode Miss Angela would look and notice Piper is dancing the choreography, and that is how the episode would end, on a big cliffhanger like, oh my gosh, what will Miss Angela do? She's seen Piper. The next episode after that would be Miss Kate coming in as she leaves for England to do the reality show in a few days, so she needs to get everything sorted. She's seen the video of Miss Angela's routine and she's not happy. She's like, why haven't you put the changes in? Why is Rochelle in the back? Why is Noah on the second line? Why is Lily in the front and she's not doing any of the technical things that the other dancers can do? Why is Winnie in the dance? Everyone would then vent their frustrations to Kate, saying how they're not pushed to their limits, they're being robots, they're losing their passion, they don't want to be at the studio, stuff like that. And obviously Miss Kate wouldn't allow that, so she'd be like, right Miss Angela, we need to have a meeting in my office now. I think after arguing, Kate would tell the dancers that she has no power over Angela because they signed a contract, as one of you guys pointed out. This would prompt Lily to be courageous and say that she's going to talk to her, so they'd have a talk and Lily would tell her mum that this isn't the place for them. She'd use Piper as an example and say just how much she's damaged her confidence, and Angela would then have a change in this moment and agree, realising that she's been awful, and she'd actively quit the partnership and leave TNS. Lily would go with her willingly instead of being, you know, summoned.
Lily, let's go!
Because she knows that her mom's going to need some emotional support. And I also felt like it might be nice if Winnie says something, like now she's going to be put back to B Troop because she's only on A Troop because of Miss Angela. She could say something like she can feel everyone's eyes staring into the back of her head and giving her dirty looks because she's on the front line and be feeling like she doesn't deserve to be there, and Miss Kate can have a meeting with her and be like, we are going to put you back in B Troop, but you get to do this competition with Heathcliff instead as a consolation, and you are a good dancer, and audition for A Troop next year will allow that. And Winnie can be like, yeah, okay, that's fine, because I just felt like they kind of kicked her off and there was no explanation of how or why that happened. Kate would then obviously ask Emily and Michelle to take over as studio head, and things can go as normal as they all did. They'd redo the line placement, they'd organise the hip hop dance being choreographed by Sloane and LaTroy, everything like that would happen. But this would mean that Lily doesn't rub her convention win in TNS's face, and her mum is still going to be just as happy about it, and she did potentially secretly bribe the judge. Also in the later season, there'd be no scenes of Angela trying to recruit Kenzie, and Lily would come into Shakes and Ladders purely to try and get some ideas and tips from TNS, because she knows her mum's choreography isn't good, but she really wants her to be. But Davis might have heard of Encore before, and because she knows that Miss Angela is a fixer and is successful, this is the reason that she asks Lily if she can audition for the team. This would foreshadow the fact that Angela cheats and copies someone else's routine in order to win regionals, and we'd feel even more sorry for Lily at this point, because we know how much she's wanted to win fairly and do the best by her mom, but it just didn't work. It would also make us empathise even more with Miss Angela in season 7, because we've seen just how desperate she was to be successful and she still isn't. And that is it. That is what I think would happen if Miss Angela became, she successfully got her partnership to run the next step. It would last a bit longer than it did on the show, but it wouldn't last forever. And I think it would be pretty drama filled, you know, it'd be pretty good. If you enjoyed this video and you're enjoying the What If series, leave a like down below and comment any more ideas on what you'd like me to do. I have got some more planned, so that will be more than just these 2 videos. And I'll see you then. Bye guys.